All right, let's look at Chapter 3, Lesson 4, and go through the answers here. All right, let's see. So here we're going to identify the premises and conclusion. I'm going to highlight premises and then make the conclusion in red. That's my answer key here. And then discuss what type of inductive argument it is. Identify one of the 6 common types found in this section of reading. All right, number 2, the problem of obesity has reached epidemic proportions in America, yet the article published in the Department of Agriculture suggests that people freely choose to overeat and that government effects to combat obesity will not work. Paul Krugman argues that because the history of government interventions on behalf of the public health, from the construction of sewer systems to the campaign against smoking, is one of the consistent life-enhancing success, government action could help significantly to overcome obesity, America's fastest growing health problem. So what's happening here basically is he's saying, look, other government campaigns to increase the health of citizens, sewer system construction, a campaign against smoking, are successful, then government action about obesity could also be successful. So they're looking at the past. So I think this is a conclusion about the present based on past evidence. And you can see this is ampliative, right? It's an inductive argument basically, right? They're trying to make an educated guess based on past evidence about the present or future, I guess. But you can see it's not a guarantee. The conclusion is not guaranteed by the evidence. So this makes it an inductive argument, which is still a good type of argument. You can't always have, I wish we could have, a guarantee always, but we don't. Okay, sorry. So let me skip from reading, well, no, that's not. This organization released the results of the National Household Survey on Drug Abuse, which examined a national sample of Americans over age 12 and the high school senior survey. The survey showed that 1 out of 3 Americans over the age of 12 has tried some kind of illicit substance. That is, right, they're using a sample based on a survey. And the conclusion is that for the entire Americans over the age of 12 have tried some kind of illicit substance. You'd always want to look for bias in the sample here, but it is a generalization based on sample, which is what, a lot of reasoning is. All right. I'm not going to read all of number 8. It was a little confusing, but basically what they're saying here is that we can observe the heavens, the stars, the suns to predict the weather. And this is similar to using the heavens to predict human behavior. So we can use the heavens to predict human temperament or behavior. This is an analogy. They're saying that using these 2 things are similar. So this is kind of like an argument for astrology here. And of course, you could look at whether this is a good analogy. Are they similar in all the relevant aspects, or can you disanalogy, right? Disanalogize, show out differences between the 2. It's one of my favorite. I like thinking about those kinds of arguments are fun. All right. Next set of arguments, point out the fallacious reasoning in each of the following selections. In college, you can either be a serious student or establish beneficial social contacts. I can already tell this is a false dichotomy. I don't really need to read anymore, but in later life, however, you'll want the social contexts, so, have a good social life. They're saying it's either this or that. It's a kind of like black and white thinking. There's only 2 choices, but you could easily do both, right? You could, you have time for both in college, and both are important. So that's a false dichotomy. Of course, the governor lost her temper and got emotional when she learned that some top officials in the state were taking graft. She's a woman, isn't she? This is just a stereotype. Despite reporters incriminating testimony to the grand jury, The president maintains that his chief of staff is not guilty of any wrongdoing. The president dismisses the charges, saying that he has known the man and has been his friend for more than 30 years. An appeal to pity, perhaps? I'm saying, look, this is my friend, please don't put him in jail, kind of thing, right? And proof that every horse has 6 legs. I had to read this carefully. Behind, they have 2 legs, and in front, they have 4 legs. That makes 6 legs, right? But they're talking about 4, which means like front legs, and 4, F-O-U-R, the number. And this is called the fallacy of equivocation. It's basically using different definitions for the same word. All right, that was a quick video. Hopefully you'll have time to view it all this time. I'm trying to make them quicker.